Yo, what is up, everybody, and welcome to episode 17 of Result Report. I'm Isaac here. It's been a week since we uploaded, and let's get into it. So it's been a lot to talk about, but we will start with the NHL. It's Stanley Cup playoffs time, and actually after every series is at 3 games go through, no team is up 3-0, so there will be no sweeps in the first round, just 2-1 in all of the series. So to start things off, the 2-seed Toronto Maple Leafs, who have not won a playoff series in 27 years, are winning 2-1, but that's how they were doing against the Lightning last year. Tampa Bay always finds a way to come back in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and now Toronto has a 2-1 lead in the series after being down 1-0, and they just won in overtime yesterday. Then the 1-seed Vegas Golden Knights, and I honestly have them winning the Stanley Cup. They just beat Winnipeg by 1 goal in double overtime, and now they took a 2-1 series lead, but they were up 4-1 coming into the third period. Then the Jets scored 3 goals in 20 minutes to tie the game and send it to overtime. Then after overtime, it was still knotted, so they went to double overtime with Vegas coming out on top with a 2-1 series lead. Then the Colorado Avalanche, the reigning Stanley Cup champions, have to face the team that is in their second years of franchise and their first ever playoff appearance, the Seattle Kraken. Great job for Seattle there. They have a lot of new players, took some good players here. And they actually won Game 1 in Colorado, which was very impressive, except just lost yesterday because of a rough third period, 6-4 to Colorado. So now they trail in the series 2-1, lost home ice advantage. The 1-seed Carolina Hurricanes won New York Islanders 5. The Hurricanes are really relying on having the home ice advantage, and also the Bruins being eliminated probably in the second round. That's how they would win the Stanley Cup, is my only way seeing it. The Islanders actually scored the fastest 4 goals in Stanley Cup playoff history for the NHL. It was like 4 minutes left. It was tied 1-1, and New York would win 1-5. However, Carolina is still up in the series 2-1. But a problem for them is that they've lost 8 straight road playoff games. And both games that were played in Carolina, New York came within 1 goal. So they have got to be careful for these playoffs. I think I've got the Islanders winning this series here. And then the 2-seed Dallas Stars won in the Wild 5. Minnesota now leads the series 2-1. Game 1 went to double overtime, where the Wild would win 3-2 in the multi-overtime. There's now 2 multi-overtime games in the Stanley Cup playoffs already in the first round. Last year there was only 1. But after they only allowed 2 goals against the Dallas Stars, which is not bad, they took out, the Wild coach must have been kind of wild here, because they took out Philip Gustafsson, who had done really well, and put in the veteran Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury is not bad, but he would allow 7 goals in Game 2 and lose to Dallas. Thankfully for them, they put Philip Gustafsson back in, and they would win Game 3 and only allow 1 goal. And then the 1-seed, the best team in the league, the best season ever, the Boston Bruins win 4-2 at the Florida Panthers, and now they lead the series 2-1. The Panthers kind of scared some people a bit after coming in and scoring 6 goals in Boston, but I don't think coming into Florida should be a problem for many teams. I call them the team with no fans. They don't really have that many fans down there. And also for the Bruins, their captain Patrice Bergeron did not travel to Sunrise, Florida to do the series, so he's also out for Game 4 today. And so that would mean that they've got a little bit of a hole to fill, but I think they can do it. The Devils 2 and the Rangers 1. In overtime, the Devils got their first playoff win in a long time. They really turned around their season, I think, this year. I think they made the biggest improvement of all of the teams this season, ahead of the Seattle Kraken. But the Devils did not do well in the first 2 games at home, but they stole a road game that could have just taken the Rangers home and move on into the second round. But the Rangers are now only up 2-1 in the first 3 games, have gone to the road team. And now New Jersey's right back in the series, and for the Devils, 2 of their 4 goals have been scored by star player Jack Hughes. Then the 2 seed Edmonton Oilers 2 and the Kings 3 in overtime. LAK leads 2-1. Kings are 2-0 in overtime playoff games this series. And if you can close it out in overtime, that's going to give you a big advantage here in the NHL. And then there are 4 games today, as there always will be in the first round today. That would be the first one, Carolina at New York Islanders. I've got the Islanders winning today. I do not see the Hurricanes winning another road playoff game. They haven't done it since they did it in Tampa Bay 2 years ago. But they have lost. They are just terrible on the road playoffs so far. So I've got New York winning, and then I have the New York winning games 5 and 6 as well. Boston at Florida. Florida doesn't really have that many fans that cheer them on. I think Boston's going to be okay. I have the Bruins winning game 4. The Stars at Wild. As long as they don't make a really dumb decision last second at putting on Marc-Andre Fleury, and I don't think the Wild would do that, they're going to be fine. They're not going to allow many goals here, and the Wild just cannot stop. So far, they cannot stop Phil Gustafsson in the goalies. So I got Minnesota winning, like, easy dominant. If you cannot stop Joel Eriksson Ek, then you're not going to get very far here in the NHL. The Oilers at Kings. This time I've got the Oilers. The best player in the world is on their team. The top 2 leading scorers in the NHL for goals and points, I believe, too. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl for the Oilers. I think they can come into LA as long as they can close it out at the end. Like, the Kings have not been able to close it out. So the Kings have been. As long as the Oilers can be clutch here, then I think they're going to move on. So that does it for the NHL. We will talk about the NBA playoffs next. So on to the NBA playoffs. There have been some key injuries here in the first round. Joel Embiid was out with a knee, but good for them. They get to bring up the Bruins because they just swept the Nets. And for the Nets, this has got to be heartbreaking here for them. And you've got to feel bad about this. Like, they've had these star players, gave them all away. The only reason I think they're in the playoffs was because of their hot start here. And the Nets have now, and they've now been swept 2 straight years in the first round also. But this is really embarrassing for them, I think, right now. And to be swept by Doc Rivers, a guy that does not close out the series very well. So that's just embarrassing, I think. So, and then the 4 seed Phoenix Suns 112, the Clippers 100. Phoenix now leads 3-1 after losing game 1 at home to the Clippers. But more key injuries. The Clippers have Leonard and George out. I don't know when last time I saw them 2 healthy, but I don't know what their problem is right now. The Bucks 99 and the Heat 121. Miami now leads 2-1 as an 8 seed. I remember Ethan picking the Heat actually to win the series in 7 and me to pick the Bucks in 7 here. Giannis did not play for the 2nd straight game, so now Miami took advantage of that. However, Jimmy Butler is going to be evaluated, and so is Victor Oladipo for the injuries they had last night. The Grizzlies 103, Lakers 113. Ja Morant did play after he had a hand injury in Game 2 and did not play that game. The Lakers now lead the series 2-1 as a 7 seed here. Only one 7 seed, I believe only one 7 seed has ever done it in a best-in-7 series, and they might be the second one to do it. The Cavaliers 79, Cleveland loses to the Knicks 79-99. The Knicks now lead the series 2-1, and that is the fewest points by any team this season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. No one has scored less than 80 this year, except they have here. And they scored only 32 points in the first half. Believe it or not, in college basketball, and they play defense, real defense in college basketball. Sometimes college basketball teams score way more than that. So Cleveland did not have much offense. They've got to be able to respond today in Game 2. The 1 seed Denver Nuggets 120, Timberwolves 111. They just took out the Timberwolves here. They're up a 3-0 series lead. They're the best team in the West. No way the Timberwolves come back from this. The teams down 3-0 are 0-147 in all of the series, including this year the Nets and 76ers. The Sacramento Kings 97 and Warriors 114. People are saying that the Warriors are gonna win because they're just so good at home and they're gonna be able to pull one game out on the road. I don't think people are realizing how good Sacramento is on the road, how clutch they've been on the road, how they've just been crowd quieters the whole season, and I think they were the underdogs coming into the season. I didn't think they'd be this good, but now I think they're going to win. They're going to go to the finals, I think, honestly. And now they're up 2-1 on the Warriors. However, Draymond Green last night did not play because of a suspension. He will be back for Game 4 today. The 2-seed Celtics 122 and the Hawks 130. Atlanta was 56% on shooting. That really helped them win because without that good of shooting, they would have gotten creamed. They allowed 122 points. Boston now leads the series 2-1. And so now the Hawks are right back in this series. If you're down 2-0 and then you win Game 3, you have a big chance and you're right back in it. Now you win one more game and the series is tied. So the games today, we'll do our NBA pick'em. The 4-seed Cavaliers at the New York Knicks. New York leads 2-1. I think this series will be over pretty much if the Cavs can't win today. I've got the Knicks. Jalen Brunson has gone off really. And since in the playoffs, he's been ready in the playoffs. And last year is really when he went a step ahead for the Mavericks, and then he helped them get to the conference finals. And without him this year, they were not very good. And now he's carrying the Knicks to another playoff victories here. So I've got the Knicks winning today. The Kings at the Warriors. Like I said earlier, the Kings have not been noticed on the road, except the Warriors are just so good at home. I think I'm going to have the Kings winning this series in 6. In 6. I think the Warriors are going to lose today. Kings in 5. Warriors are going to lose today here at home in a close thriller, and then the Kings will be able to pull it out in Game 5. And then the Celtics at the Hawks. The Hawks have really performed here at home and at the Heat in the play-in tournament in the playoffs. They've been ready to play, and I think they're going to be ready today also. It is a season definer, I think, for the Hawks. They've got to win. If they can't win today, I don't see a way they can come back from down 3-1. And then the Hawks, not the Hawks. So I've got the Hawks winning today with their spectacular shooting they had in Game 3. The Nuggets at the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves have not played very well in this postseason. It was just the Thunder game that got them into the playoffs, and then they haven't been able to do anything to the Nuggets. The Nuggets were not playing well at the end of the season, but that's because they had already secured the 1 seed, and then they rested their players because of it. But I've got the Nuggets today. The Timberwolves have not been ready in the playoffs, so this would be a clean sweep. They can bring up the brooms, and so that would do it for the series today. Feel free to comment about your picks in the NBA or NHL of any games if you don't know what to comment. I'm Isaac. Like, subscribe, and leave a comment to stay up to date with our channel. This is the Result Report, episode 17. Peace out.